All right, y'all. So today we're reacting to white women can be hoes, but get married. Why can't black girls? Women excuse spring break behavior. So it's gonna be interesting video. You already know, man.
Oh shit. Here we go again.
Let's get right to it.
Go to Daytona Beach and act the same way. So white women could sleep with the whole basketball team and get wife, but when black women go to Daytona Beach and act the same way, they're not gonna get married. Please, y'all have to stop with this propaganda. Like we have to stop. So the girls going wild get their happy ending, but the black women who went to Houston don't get a happy ending. Please stop this. Y'all have to stop the madness. So like I don't think it's fair that y'all have so many critiques and criticism for black women who went to Houston and Daytona and did the things that they did out there for spring break, but don't have the same energy for other races of women, because those are the same women who do the same things and more and still get wifed. Please, like, y'all have to stop the propaganda. Like, if y'all gonna be having all these strict rules and regulations, y'all need to have it for everybody across the board. All these different women.
My whole thing is, when did it become like white women and about race? Like, I think people bring race into a lot of things that really have no like correlation. It's so funny to me. The main population that went to Houston was African American. So it's like, what are we talking about? Like, I know my people was down there deep. Them white folks wasn't down there like that. I know they wasn't. And yeah, there was some out there, but I know the main majority of population down there for spring break was black people. So that's what we are talking about. And that's what's been the focus. Now, as far as y'all becoming wives, and I don't know about all that, but race or not, HEO is a HEO. A 304 is a 304, right? And yes, 304s get wiped up all the time. I almost wiped up a 304. Like, you just never know a girl's past really until she reveals it to you. So it's good to vet a girl and all of that, but yeah, I don't know when this became about race.
Getting on here saying, "Oh, I see why the men is not marrying y'all," and like y'all about to have a heart attack. Chill. The reason men are not marrying us is because they don't want to marry us. That's what it come down to. A man gonna act right for who you want to
He
act
got the
right
mic.
for.
He said,
Please stop giving it more thought than it has to. Men are very simple. A man gonna marry and do right by who he want to do right by. That's all.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all. Like, it don't matter if you was a 304 yesterday or the president's ex-wife. If they want you and they deem you as someone they want to be with, they're gonna do right by you. I promise you.
So, I mean, first of all, we got to ask the question because I don't know. And I'm not going to assume. So let me know inside of the chat if y'all know. And I always like to link back to the content creator because I think it's the right thing to do to give credit. First thing we got to ask ourselves is consider the source. And I don't know if this woman is married or not, but I'm assuming that she's speaking from a married woman's perspective that have lived a life and transitioned over into finding her good husband that is going to accept whatever her past is and her lifestyle, also considering that she probably told him exactly what she's been doing in her past. Now, the first thing that we have to address, and we're going to probably knock down maybe four different points here, is the first thing that we need to address is, why do you need white women in order to validate your behavior?
That's what I'm saying.
What about calling out bad behavior because
it's bad behavior?
It's bad behavior.
Yeah, like we literally call a spade, man. Like, why is race getting involved in that topic? It's not discrediting what she's saying, because like I said, there's plenty of guys out here who are willing to wife up a reformed 304, right? And you can't shame a girl for having a past, but as a man, it's understandable if you don't want to deal with someone who had a past. It's understandable, right? But again, you can't shame a woman for her having fun. A lot of them are going to do it. It's just what it is. It's not necessarily fair or right, but it's what it is, y'all. A lot of girls make bad decisions when they're younger, and they can, right? Men too, but a lot of girls make bad decisions with their body when they're younger. You know, the 304 phase, all of that. So
need to have
It's bad
greater
decisions.
expectations
Call it what it is.
for our women. You don't need white women to give you validation. Newsflash, white women are having problems in their relationships and getting married also. Can you
Literally.
find the anomaly white woman or a regular white woman that slutted it out in college and still got married? I'm sure you can, but it doesn't mean that it's the right thing to do. And it's not about white people. Why do people always compare themselves, black people in particular, even Asians? I've seen Asians comparing their bad behavior over to white people. Why do y'all look at white people as the litmus? When it comes to finances, y'all do it, and it's like, wait a minute, if you look at the census, they're not that much further ahead of us when it comes to the amount of money that they make together. When you look at food stamps, it's like, hold on, there's more white people on food stamps than ever before. Maybe not crime, because obviously the 13.6% of the population is producing the majority of the crime, neither here nor there, right? And you'll even see people argue that foolishness. It's like, no, just stop committing crime because y'all doing it against each other too.
Yeah.
But even when relationships, don't you know that the foundation of feminism came from white women that were leaving their husbands, and then they used black women as the poster child, and then told y'all that y'all needed to tie yourselves to the federal government, which then made y'all dependent. And then they had y'all voting blue for the rest of y'all life and for generations to come. And when you look out here, you'll see that white women on a regular basis, not only have they broken up their families, they becoming baby mamas too. They're on food stamps too. They on Section 8 too. Why do you need their validation, regardless of how degenerate the culture is between both cultures? Why do you need their validation to do what you're supposed to do? So they'll make the argument and then say something like, but white women, how many, what are you talking about? You don't even know, right?
And it's funny because women love to compare, like whether it's with other races of women, especially other black women who they deem to be pretty. They love to compare, right? It's funny, like I'll say this little analogy. Maybe you can call it an example. Women, like, you ever notice how girls make friends, right? It's always like, oh, you're so pretty, this and that, let's be friends. They don't really have real friendships. Like, if you think about it, the girls are always in competition with each other a lot of the times, and that's what ruins their friendships. The competition factor is they're always in comparison. So when a girl is in competition with each other, 9 times out of 10, they want to be who's the prettiest one, who's the prettiest out the friend group. Sometimes the pretty one invokes jealousy from the other girls because they're comparing themselves to her, right? Or why don't I get as much attention as this my friend does? You know, some girls may start to grow resentment for their friends because they get more attention from men and this and that. So girls are always, especially black women in general, they're always comparing. They're always in that type of mind frame. So yeah, she's gonna reach for the, oh, why can a white girl do this and I can't? You know, they're gonna reach for that argument in most topics, right? When it comes to excusing bad behavior, women are always gonna compare what they're doing to what somebody else did and just say, oh, why can't I do it too? It's still a bad decision, you know? So that's how you gotta look at it.
Say hypothetically that
It's
you're
your
right.
life though. Live it.
Do you really want to go out there and get a bunch of diseases because they humping on each other and they getting diseases?
That too, bro.
Houston had a huge outbreak.
Yeah.
Daytona Beach had a huge outbreak. A lot of people was getting beat up.
Yeah.
People were disrespecting themselves and each other, making their parents look bad, making the culture look bad. Right? Miami already kicked y'all out a few years ago. Fort Lauderdale said we right behind Miami. Now Daytona Beach and the police said y'all not welcome here no more. They had to give you a dress code over at the Houston Rodeo.
It's crazy work, boy.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, are you looking to figure out how you can be degenerate, or do you want your daughters and your sons and the culture to do better because we want to leave this earth in a better space had we not got here? We don't want to pass on generational curses. We don't want to have any more women out of wedlock. We don't want black women lined up around a clinic because we know that black women are the ones that are most affected by being too promiscuous. We don't want to see people turning gay because they was raised in a single parent household and they didn't have the structure of a strong marriage, right? Why do we continue to promote degeneracy when we don't have to? And that is the question. It's not
Hmm.
about whether or not white women are able to eventually get saved. Why put your daughter and your son through the BS in the first place is the question that you got to ask yourself. Why do we validate demonic behavior? It is dumb. It is the dumbest thing I ever heard in my entire life. Now, that's not to say that young people are not going to do stuff. Yes, I get it. We was all young at one point.
Right. Yeah.
But it has to be a breaking point. And
At some point, and I think this is where women come to as well. At some point, you're like, damn, I have to change my ways. I can't do this when I'm 30. I can't just be sleeping around with multiple men. Like I have to start because women start to decline, right? They have to think about settling down, finding a husband, right? They're in the prime years for having a kid. I feel like a lot of women don't want to be old mothers, right? So they want to start a family at some point. So now you have to start reforming yourself. Like, okay, I can't keep presenting myself like this to men. But it's like when they're young, they don't care. So it is what it is. Make the decisions, make the bad decisions, live your life. We all have done stupid things when we're young. Like that's what it's for, to learn, to make mistakes. But it gets to a point, right? It gets to a point. So I think women get to that point, and you see it a lot on social media where it's like, why doesn't nobody want to commit to me? Or a woman complain about being single, or someone would even openly come out and talk about their past and say they were, and talk about like their past with men online. Some women will come out and say the crazy takes, and you know, it's funny, man. Women, they want to make the bad decisions, but they don't want to be like held accountable for the decisions that they make, right? Men, we're always held accountable, right? People typically don't care about men and, their health, their mental, the decisions they make, right? You might get laughed at as a man. Whereas women, it's like they're not held accountable, or when they are, it's like, well, hold on. Well, wait a minute. It's like, why are you guys doing this to me when this, maybe for example, this white woman is doing the same thing, or this my friend has did the same thing, right? They're always like, well, why are you guys attacking me? You know? So it's funny how they think it like that.
to be a limit. There was certain things that I was just unwilling to do because I had a foundation. Yes, kids are going to do stuff. Yes, kids are going to get into stuff. Yes, kids are going to make mistakes. Yes, kids are going to make life. But you have to put it in them early so that they have some level of respect. And it's just certain things that they're not going to get into. Why? Because we have different standards for the culture. Or
Mhm.
at the very least, have different standards for your child in your household. Because that is eventually what leads to a better culture. You know what I'm saying? Like that is what you're supposed to be about. That is supposed to what you're supposed to rock out with. But nope, that's not what we're doing. We don't want to get into that. We don't want to embrace that. We don't think that that's a good thing. Anytime that somebody does something good or somebody is trying to lean into being the best version of themselves, we demonize it because no, 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 no. Go out there and slut it out. Now, if people go out there and slut it out, you're not gonna say nothing. You're not gonna hold them accountable. It's not a big
Yeah.
deal. You know what? That's just sure, white women do it. Let's get our permit. Hey, everybody, you got your permission slip?
That's the thing, man. Like it's 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 never gonna stop. It's only getting worse. It's gonna, like, the hookup culture, because it's getting pushed like in the media. uh you got, again, this younger generations now coming up. They're all in it, right? There's corn. So when your brain is constantly being, and then social media, right? Like when your brain is constantly being bombarded with lust and attractive people on your screens, and a lot of us watch this type of content, right? Girl content, and you see these girls with streamers and they're showing half their bodies. It's getting worse. Like, when has Houston rodeo ever had to have a dress code? Like, what is going on in the world, bro? Like, it's the level of decency women have is slowly going away, right? Especially younger women. It's like, baby, put some clothes on, respect yourself. You don't have to sleep around with guys forever. I understand some girls want to have that little phase and get that out. More power to you. But hey, it's not the right. It's just not smart. It's just not smart. But I understand most girls are gonna do it. Most guys have a whole phase, right? Or they will want to have a whole phase, but most guys can't because the women are the choosers. They're always the choosers when it comes to sex. So yeah, man, it's weird. It's sad, man. It's sad.
Got your permission slip? Go
But
get your permission slip. White
do
women
you?
is doing it. White people are doing it.
So I
Guess
can do
what?
it.
Diseases, they don't have no name. And even if you get a condom, you can still get certain diseases. And even if you don't wear a condom and you don't get a disease, you can still get pregnant. And then you're going to be having a conversation about whether or not you should have children out of wedlock, or why you telling me, why you holding me accountable for getting pregnant and stuff. Listen. I always believed that the key to solving for the majority of these issues is not to figure out how we can fit in, but remove ourselves from this conversation in the first place. If you don't have sex out of wedlock, unprotected, guess what? You don't get pregnant. If you wait to get married before you carry, you have a much, much, much greater chance of raising a child in a successful two-parent household.
The problem is, bro, a lot of women struggle to find a husband, whether it's themselves who are the problems, or they can't find a man in their area. Maybe they live in a small town, whatever. But a lot of times women can't get a guy to commit to them. So that's why they have kids out of wedlock. They want to have a family, but it's like, man, no guy is really trying to settle down with me for whatever reason, right? Women can easily find guys they can sleep with, that will, they can have a kid by, but they can't find a guy who's husband material, or a finding guy who is husband material who wants to commit to them. You know, that's the hardest part for a lot of girls. And it's about how you present yourself as a woman, because a lot of the times guys, when they think about who's wifey material, it's who presents themselves in a decent manner, right? Who presents themselves on social media, whatever, in the world as just a decent woman, right? Do you have the baddie aesthetic, right? And not to say the baddies don't get wifed up, but typically with the baddie aesthetic type of girls, like, you know what they on, bro? They just sleeping with a bunch of dudes, going from next to one entourage to the other, not really not really trying to get wifed up. So you gotta understand the type of woman you're dealing with, and understand, okay, is she wifey material or is she not? Does she have a past or does she not? Am I willing to accept that past, or am I not? Right? And be safe, bro. Safe sex, like, is so important. Like, dog, so important. That's why the HIV thing is so popping right now in Houston, bro. Like, too many people are having sex out of wedlock, and then now you're having unprotected sex with people you probably don't really know, right? Because I'm sure a lot of people from Houston they didn't know each other. They were all just a bunch of random people and strangers all in one condensed place, bro. Like, that's just a bad recipe for things. So I'm gonna end the video here. I hope y'all got some enjoyed the video. But it's your boy Juice Savvy Reacts. We up the camera. Peace.